Hello everybody and welcome to the Daily Review, episode number 283 for Saturday, January 16th, 2010.
Let's get fucked up and die. I'm speaking figurative.
And the film I'm going to be reviewing for you guys today is The Lovely Bones. The Lovely Bones is directed by Peter Jackson and it stars Saoirse Ronan, Mark Wahlberg, Rachel Weisz, Stanley Tucci, and Susan Sarandon. And The Lovely Bones is about a 14-year-old girl named Susie Salmon who is basically raped and murdered, although the rape is kind of more implied in the film, but apparently in the book that happens. And she's caught in a place called the In-Between, which is a place between heaven and earth, which is, you know, that space in between. It's kind of like purgatory, but a nice purgatory. And she basically sits there and watches as her family tries to uncover the killer, tries to bring him to justice, I guess, tries to find out who he is. The Lovely Bones, I think, is an okay movie, although I feel like it should have been far, far better than it was. You got a guy like Peter Jackson directing this thing who made all three of the Lord of the Rings films, and while I'm not a fan at all, really, of any of the Lord of the Rings movies, the guy is immensely talented. He has an immense knack for vision and style and everything that goes on. If anybody has seen Dead Alive, which is like his old horror, kind of like a B horror film that's absolutely gory and messy and bloody and beautiful, the guy knows what he's doing, and it shows in the film that he does have a knack for visual flair. The scenes where Susie is in the in-between looks absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. All the scenes that take place on Earth, especially the ones with Stanley Tucci, are filled with so much tension and kind of like you can just feel the tension in the room, I think, and it's very palpable. The big strength, I think, of Lovely Bones is probably the performances, namely Saoirse Ronan and especially Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci plays the murderer of the film, and there's a scene early on when the police just kind of knock on his door and they're questioning everybody in the neighborhood. And you could just feel this immense amount of creepiness to him and tension. There's a scene that takes place right before she dies where he's talking face to face with Susie Salmon, and it feels more creepy than almost anything I've seen in movies in quite some time. And I owe that all to Stanley Tucci's performance of the film. The stuff that I don't really like about The Lovely Bones is pretty much all of the stuff that takes place in the in-between. And I know that's a big part of the story. I know that's the whole point, is that she's watching as this all unfolds. But the problem for those scenes with me is that the film, I think, on its own, as a father trying to uncover who murdered his daughter, that is a fantastic movie on its own, because all of the scenes that initially took place on Earth I was very engaged in. I liked all the stuff. There's a scene kind of towards the end of the film, which this isn't really a spoiler because they show it in the trailer, but Susie's sister kind of breaks into Stanley Tucci's home and is trying to look around for things, and he comes home, and it's immensely, immensely tense, and it's all executed and done so well, and the directing, you just see like feet hitting the floor and creaking. Amazing. And I wish the movie was just that. I wish maybe it was narrated by her as the dead person. But all the stuff that takes place in the in-between is very happy, it's very joyful. There's a collection of all the girls who have been murdered by this man that join her up there and they dance. There's this one scene where they're wearing like psychedelic dresses and they're just twirling around and dancing. And that's fine, but the film is about somebody who raped and murdered a girl. And for me to sit there and watch that immensely creepy scene, to go from that to something super joyous, it just doesn't, it feels very out of place for me, and I feel like it was overdone a little too much. I felt like all the in-between scenes were like Peter Jackson showing us what he can do behind the camera and showing us all the cool CGI he can do with like green birds looking like leaves on trees and things like that. I just wish that it was kind of just a murder mystery. I think on its own would have worked a lot better. I know that's not what the book is, and don't berate me because I have never read the book, so I'm basing this as a film, not as a book, so take what you will of that. Also, I think that the ending is incredibly cheesy and kind of wraps up very fast. Stanley Tucci's character basically is wrapped up really fast, and it feels very out of place and very weird. I was like, really? That's how it is? Okay. So anyway, take what you will of that. I think it's kind of a 50% great film and 50% of a pretty bad film. But 50% of a great film is still a slightly entertaining one for me, so I'm going to give The Lovely Bones a 3 out of 5. I think the murder mystery stuff, fantastic. In between world, not so much. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow with another one for you.